about Foreclosures Daily, connecting buyers with motivated sellers since 2004. So Foreclosures Daily is a nationwide lead provider that they provide leads to investors, realtors, attorneys, and just your basic first-time buyers. They've been in business since 2004, and they have been the internet's #1 destination for the most detailed and timely information. As your host, you're probably wondering, well, who's this person? Again, my name's Nancy Wallace-Laabs, and I'm an investor. I'm a best-selling author, a speaker, and I've been a client of Foreclosures Daily since 2018. So I've done some of my very best deals with their leads. I can attest to the pre-probate leads. That's the ones I use. My daughter and I, that lovely young lady in the picture with me, we founded Money Making Mamas. So we're all about empowering moms at any stage of life for entrepreneurship. And we just launched at the beginning, the very first day, January 1, our podcast, Money Making Mamas. So you can check that out. We are on Spotify. Now, how is Foreclosures Daily different? Well, first of all, their leads have real estate attached. I personally have used other companies, and they have a lead, but they don't have any real estate. So if you're an investor or a realtor, you want real estate attached. Depending on the type of lead that you have, you can get it either delivered daily, weekly, or monthly. And they have property appraisers, information on most data types, the value of the property. And most companies out there, they usually are on a quarterly and not farm for real estate. So I know there's a couple of them out there. We won't name them. But like I said, I've been a customer of theirs since 2018, and I've tried a lot of different list companies. They understand the importance of having fresh data that is farmed for real estate. And what kind of leads? Well, they have probates. I do pre-probates. They have absentee owners, divorce, distress, code violations. They have cash buyers, list pins, tax lates, evictions, inheritance, auctions. That pretty much covers just about anything that you would want in terms of leads for either finding properties or buying properties, or just building your portfolio. Now, in addition to the leads that you get with Foreclosure Daily, they don't just sell you the leads, they help you with the marketing part of it. So I know when I started with them, they gave me the messaging, they gave me the links to get cost-effective marketing done. And so I've done pretty much all of these. So I've done the you go to Go Big Printing, and you can look at all of these postcards they have. You can get the ones that have the houses on them. I've done the one in the middle. I haven't done the house, but I've done a similar one, and then I incorporate some of the yellow. So it depends on who you're marketing to. And, if you have a lot of, if I have 1,000 names I want to market to, more than likely I'm going to send a postcard. It's cost effective. However, when I want to go to the pre-probate or probate, I lean towards more having a personal connection, and I want to have some kind of handwritten note or card to go to them. So through the leads that you get with Foreclosure Daily, the staff there can also hook you up with the company that they do handwritten letters. So they have a font that looks like a handwritten letter, and you can have a more personal touch. Then you can actually go into marketing by hand, and these are very, very nice. So when I got introduced to these, I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I do. So I have a mom that helps me write my cards. And so I talked to Wendy here at the company, and they have a very nice, easy process where you can hire them to actually do your marketing. So they make it very seamless. Basically, you give them your login to get your list, and then they'll just turn them out, and all you have to do is answer the phone. It couldn't be any easier. Now, you'll also receive a copy of Kevin Sales' book, Probate Real Estate 101, for real estate agents and investors. And normally, if I can grab it really fast, yes, I have my copy right here that I got back in 2018. So everything that's in here is still relevant today in marketing to probate and pre-probate. So in addition, you'll also have access to webinars by the author. So Foreclosure Daily wants you to be successful. So in not only do they, have leads that you can use, but they also help you with the marketing and give you resources. Now, without further ado, you're going to be in for a treat tonight, guys. So we have Tiffany and Josh High with us from Results Driven. Now, their bio was so long that I just said, hey, this is a power couple. They've done it all. And I want to preface this because they have so much information to share. Normally our webinars are an hour, but Tiffany and Josh, they just have so much. So we're going to go 90 minutes tonight. So you got to stay on to get all the dirt, all the tea, right, Tiffany? Want to make
Yep.
sure. So I am going to turn it over to Tiffany and Josh, and they're going to kind of walk you through how they've built their empire and how they do things. And I'm really excited because I want to find out virtually without constant hands-on involvement. That's really cool. So I'm going to stop my share, Tiffany, and I'm going to hand it over to you. And you guys take it away.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for having me on. Let me get my screens. Can you guys see my PowerPoint?
I can see it, yes.
Okay, so this is new to me, guys. I'm used to having a chat box to interact with you and answer your questions, and I normally engage you guys on some things. So what I'm going to try to do, and it might not work, I'm not sure yet, is have you guys, if you want to engage with me when I'm used to engaging, just go ahead into the Q&A section, engage with me there, and I'm going to continue to watch it. But ultimately, Dave is on my team and Sean, who are on here. And if I don't see it for some reason, they will, and they're going to respond live on the spot because I want to answer all of your questions. I am going to stay on for live Q&A at the end. But ultimately, I don't want you to hold back your questions throughout the entire time. So they run the show for me. There's nothing you can't ask that they can't answer as well. So definitely engage with me in the Q&A, and I'll do my best to go from there. But ultimately, guys, today we're going to really start talking about how do we get out of this like grind, this rat race, and build a predictable business. And what I see most common coming in the industry that I've been seeing the last year or two is yes, people are constructing and doing deals, but they'll have 1 month up, 2 months down, 1 month up. And I'm going to show you today how to put a halt to what I call the roller coaster by diversifying your marketing, how to track the right KPIs, and really use a proven, repeatable sales process. This will be new to me. Let's test it right now. Actually, if you guys don't mind going to the Q&A part, how many of you guys right now are tracking KPIs, or do you need help learning what KPIs to track and why? Can you guys, I want to test this. If it's too much work, we just won't use it that way because I'm used to having a chat box. But how many of you guys just say yes in the Q&A are looking to track KPIs and leverage them at a new level? Because so many people that don't track KPIs, they think, oh, marketing is a problem. That's why I'm not getting deals. But the real problem is they're not even tracking the KPIs to find out what the real problem is. All right, maybe the Q&A is not going to work. Let me see here. Yes, I'm tracking KPIs right now. Cool. Thanks for participating, Lewis. I thought I'd test it. But all right, before I get started, I'm going to go over an earnings disclaimer. The following information is for educational purposes only. I am not making any guarantees. We're not providing you personal, financial, legal, professional advice. Ultimately, guys, I'm here to walk you through processes, tools, systems, and techniques that we use in our business. I'm not going to be talking about profits. I'm not guaranteeing anything. Can we all agree? Just say yes in Q&A if you can, that this business can be simple to understand, but it takes action and it takes hard work. I'm not here to guarantee anyone's making a bunch of money tomorrow, okay? And ultimately, guys, I want to make sure our feet are on the ground. And a lot of gurus in the industry, they prey on greed and credibility. And they say things like, oh, we did this 100K month with little to no work, or scale, scale, scale. It's easy, simple, takes no knowledge and has no risk. Or they say, we only make money, we never lose money, and there's no risk, you'll never lose money. That's not the case. The messages that resonate with intelligent people like you are systems and processes reduce risk, right? They allow an investor to confidently scale. All real estate investors have winners and losers. Education can help limit losses, wasted time, energy, and stress. And ultimately, guys, systems and processes minimize risk and create predictability, which is what we all want, right? And ultimately, we're going to make sure that we keep our feet on the ground this whole time. So how many of you guys, I'm just curious, because how many people we got on here? 32? How many of you guys, I'm going to reference what I call the roller coaster, where you have like 1 month up, 2 months down, 1 month up, 2 months down. And I call that the roller coaster, inconsistent deal flow, endless guesswork. It's like you're constantly in survival mode. And so I want to make sure that we conquer all of that today. So who are we? And if you guys don't know me and Josh, we are out of Columbus, Ohio, and we do 250 plus contracts a year. We are known to have proven systems and processes that are built on data and results. We don't guess on anything that we do. And I'll walk you guys through how we make those data-driven decisions today. We have frameworks that create consistent deal flow, and we have a whole system of how do we maximize the return on investment of every single lead. Jacob, if you guys don't know Jacob Klein, he's online. He, for example, uses our KPI tracker. And before he used it, he didn't realize that 30% of his direct mail wasn't performing at all. If you're not tracking the right KPIs, you're probably just wasting money. And so many people take money and just keep throwing it at marketing because they think leads and marketing are the problem. And normally it's not. So by the end of today's training, I want to make sure that you understand how to diversify your marketing so that you don't have these like roller coaster months of up, 1 month down. I'm going to walk you through what KPIs we track and then how do we take those KPIs, identify the gaps, and close the gaps without spending more money, right? Like it's not always about blowing more money on marketing. Then we're going to talk about sales. So many people in the industry, they join a program, they get thrown a script, and they kind of wing the sales process or they treat it a little bit different on every call. We're going to teach you a scalable, repeatable, check the box process because you can't hire an acquisition manager or build a team without a repeatable process. And so we'll be going over that. So everyone talks about what we call financial freedom, right? Like when we say, why'd you get into real estate? They talk about financial freedom, but how many want more time freedom? And I wish I had a chat. Just go to the Q&A, please. If you guys are like, I got into real estate, not just because I want more money, right? I got into real estate personally because I want to do what I want with who I want, when I want. And ultimately that's called time freedom. And so many people are grinding it out all the time. They got into real estate. They might be closing deals. They might even have a team, but they have no time. And so it's a constant grind. And so how do we get to both financial and time freedom? It's going to be through systems and processes. Oh, shoot. So I like to use this analogy. We have a guy in our office, actually. He came in, and I love telling the story. He had a dripping faucet under his sink in the kitchen, and he just kept ignoring it, right? So he's like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's just a little water here and there. He put a bucket under it, and then the drip just starts to fill up the sink. He dumps it, whatever. So he's constantly grabbing towels, emptying buckets, and mopping the mess, and it was super frustrating. But he didn't actually fix the problem. So think about this. And what happened was his daughter calls him. He calls me one day at work and he turns around and the whole thing is literally spraying water all over the house and floods the whole house because he didn't take time to fix the actual problem. And then because this $500 problem now turned into an $80,000 reno, right? And if he would have just taken the time to fix the faucet in the first place, then he would have saved all the energy and stress. But instead, he let the problem grow because he thought, well, I don't have time to deal with it. And this is exactly what happens in your business a lot of times when you avoid tracking KPIs, when you avoid documenting processes, executing systems, fixing the bottlenecks in your funnel. The longer you wait, the more time, money, and energy you waste by cleaning up the mess later, right? So it just creates bigger messes. So here are some of the problems that I see investors facing today that come into Results Driven's program. They're relying on 1 or 2 marketing channels. So no wonders why we're having 1 month up, 1 month down, because we think that having 1 or 2 guys, I run 9 to 11 plus marketing channels at a time. And they're not all paid channels. Half of those are free marketing channels, but we systemize them. A lot of people are literally taking a ball of money. They learn a marketing channel, they take a ball of money, they throw it at it, and they say, okay, I hope it performs. But there's no rhyme or reason to why they're spending that much, what return they should expect, etc. So we're going to go through that today. They're cutting off marketing channels way too soon. So there's a thing called a cash conversion cycle for every one of those channels. And say you launch direct mail, but you didn't get a deal within 30 days and you cut it off. You didn't even allow it to perform based on its cash conversion cycle. So we'll go over that today. If you're not tracking KPIs, if you're tracking them, but you aren't tracking the right ones, that's also an issue. And then if you are tracking them, but you don't have what we call benchmark data. So for example, our company lands one of every 2 offers is a deal. So if someone creeps up to 1 of 6 offers, we know, boom, there's a problem. We got to go audit the offer calls. And if we're not leveraging what we call red flag indicators in our KPIs, there's absolutely zero way that we are fixing the gaps in our business, and we're just throwing money down the drain. We're not leveraging scorecards in our acquisitions department. We're going to go through our acquisition scorecard today. I hope it adds tons of value, guys. We've actually never shown the acquisition scorecard in a free training. So today will be our first time. So I'm excited. I hope you guys can give me some feedback at the end. And then skipping call reviews. I don't care if you're a one-man show or have a team. Guys, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, what do they do after every game? They watch film, right? So we should be doing that either for ourselves or for our team, depending on where we're at in our stage of business. They're winging the sales process. Some people go out in the field, they go to seller. We do everything by the phone, and then they wing it. They don't have a repeatable, check the box, scalable process to pass off to someone else. And if you don't ever pass it off to someone else, you actually never gain your time back, which I think everyone in here, I assume, wants their time, more and more time back, right? They're only using one exit strategy. So we all start somewhere. Like what you might have started rehabbing, you might start wholesaling, you might start as a realtor, whatever. But at the end of the day, we have to grow into having multiple exit strategies, or we're just going to keep spending money on marketing and not maximizing the return on investment that we can get from those marketing channels. And then guys, I get it. I was there a long time ago. I was so busy wearing too many hats that I would sell to the same handful of buyers. Like the same 5 to 10 buyers were buying almost all of my deals. And then once I put in a dispo process to maximize my buyer base in the process, my spread per deal increased. And then a lot of investors are still making these one size fits all offers like ARV times 70 or 75% minus repairs minus a fee. And if that's you, then I can guarantee you actually that you are walking away from multiple deals. Why? Because there are 6+ major buyer types. They all buy with totally different equations. So if you're only making offers based on one equation, that means you're walking away from deals that other buyers will buy off you, even if it doesn't make sense for yourself. So we'll be going over all that today. So anyways, here's my 2 little ones. I want to go over our journey and what we do today, just so you get familiar with who we are in case you don't know who we are. I started almost a decade ago. We actually started out as flippers. So we did around 35 to 40 flips our first year in the business. And then in our second year, anyone in here flippers, if you guys are, go to Q&A. Let me know if you've ever had any contractor problems, because I did in my first year. And so ultimately, I wanted to make money faster, and I didn't know what wholesaling was. So my second year in the business, I learned what wholesaling was, and I decided to go all in on wholesaling. And a big mistake I made was I dropped flipping altogether, went into wholesaling on year 2, and did 165 plus wholesale contracts. Now, I wish I wouldn't have dropped flipping, because I did an audit on all the deals we did. And we sold like 60 to 70 deals to these 2 guys who all they did was literally resell it. Basically, they threw on some paint, listed it, and made another 30 grand. That's a lot of money, right? So like I missed out on 2 point something million just by not flipping those properties. So it was a costly mistake. So going into our third year, we maximized all exit strategies. We went to 300 plus contracts, added a team, etc. We added systems, processes, onboarding trainings, etc. And then we really just started stabilizing and optimizing and increasing our profit per deal. And then we added, one thing I really regret, guys, is it took me almost 5 years to really maximize not throwing out retail leads. And if someone wanted 150 and their house was worth 150, I used to just basically throw it to the wayside. And now we have a whole system to give it to an agent. We get referral commissions. And I didn't realize how much money we were missing out on commissions by not getting that house listed. So now, we wholesale, rehab, rentals, retail, you name it, we do it. I am fully removed from the active rehabbing and wholesaling business. My husband, Josh High, is the COO. I raise all the private money. Back in the day, though, guys, I was it all. I'm the one that wore the dispo, the transactions, the marketing, you name it. I did it, and I replaced myself over time. And just to give you an idea of where we're at, last quarter, actually, we don't have quarter four stats up here yet. Quarter three, we did 80 contracts. We land one of every two offers. I don't know how many contracts we did last year, like 270 or something. And so how do we do this? We leverage a team, guys. The only way to get your time back is by leveraging people, time, money, resources. And so we are known in the industry for recruiting, onboarding, and training acquisitions. Like we are very well known for building out the team. And we diversify our marketing. So we have a heavy emphasis on inbound and free marketing channels. So it's created predictability for us. We can see 90 to 120 days out minimum in revenue. We're very consistent. We're very efficient. We are very good at data-driven decisions. So we have KPIs streamlined for every aspect of the business. We have a performance management system that our whole team goes through in terms of meeting rhythms, scorecards. We have a culture building playbook for how we hold people accountable. We have a sales call audit system where we upload calls with recorded sellers and we go through a whole audit system. Guys, we're students of the game, so we're always working on personal development, culture building, making data-driven decisions. And guys, one thing that I think really separated us over the years is we don't focus on the cost of something. I think so many times we get like people get ingrained into their head, well, what's the cost of that? We always say, what's the return on investment for that? And when I really started shifting my mindset to saying, what's the return, not what's the cost, is when the game changed. And this is what our company looks like. We have a very lean team. We have Sage, our sales manager. He oversees a few closers, a dispo manager, and a couple follow-up specialists. We have a virtual assistant running our marketing that we guide, and then we have a TC and 8 people in-house, guys, doing millions of dollars in deals. So we're in the trenches every day. We're flipping over 20 houses at a time, fully virtual. I have not stepped foot in a flip, and we do 20 plus flips at a time in over 4 years. So if that doesn't tell you we're not systemized, I don't know what does. But all right, let's jump in. So we're going to talk about the 5 stages of a business because it's really important to identify where we're at so we know what should be the priority moving into the next stage. Then we're going to go over the 3 pillars. We're going to go over how do we diversify our marketing, how do we reverse engineer it, leverage KPIs, and use a check the box sales process. And then ultimately, guys, we're going to talk about how do we then amplify the deal flow from there. And guys, I don't care if you want to do $5,000 a month or $500,000 a month. You get to define what success looks like, and it's my job to get you there. So I'm not here to preach what kind of revenue you should do, whatever. It's all for you to tell me, and we get you there, right? And so that's why I have Dave and Sean on here, because there's no question that you guys, and Dave, don't forget to watch the Q&A and answer in the chat if you can, please. I see some people in there. And then he can answer all your questions while we're live. So before we jump in, I like to think about this like a 3-legged stool. It's a 3-step process to really get to where you're trying to go in building out the real estate side. First, we all start as a 1-man show, right? Like all of us do, whether that or a 1 to 2-man show if you have a spouse. Then we become a manager where we grow a small team, and then we become what we call a leader. And guys, a 1-man show, really the only benefit to being a 1-man show is that you generate money. You make money, right? That's it. But if you're a 1-man show, you wear all the hats. So you have limited to no time. You're grinding it out. You can't go on vacation without working because you are the business. What can that lead to? Burnout, lack of consistency, capped on growth. You can only do so much in 24 hours a day. I know I was there for far too long. Lack of infrastructure. Typically, you're like having a roller coaster of what I call uncertainty. Like you do get deals, but then like 1 month is completely dry. You freak out. You never know where the next deal is coming from, all that, right? So what does that lead to? Stress, anxiety, panic, unpredictability. Now, some people thrive on that, and that's okay. Like if you're like, hey, I don't ever want to have a team. I just want to be a 1-man show. Cool. Let's make sure you're a consistent 1-man show then, right? And most of the time, well, all the time, if you're a 1-man show, you're working in your business, not on it. There's no possible chance that you can actually work on your business versus in it if you're a 1-man show. But not everyone wants that, and that's okay. Jeff in our program, this is a good example. He didn't want a large team. He's like, look, I'm retired. I'm in my 50s. I want to do the work. I want to do it on my own time. He just wanted to create consistency in his revenue without building some big team. So what did we do? We plug him into sales coaching. We maximize his marketing, leverage KPIs, become consistent. He has 2 paid marketing channels and 1 free, which is the MLS offer system. And he consistently locks up 2 to 3 deals a month. And that's what he wants. And that's okay, because he doesn't really care about getting his time back. Now, when you grow into a manager leading a small team, then that's really where amplified deal flow comes from. So you increase your deal flow, you make more revenue, you're not wearing all the hats, you create more financial stability. And now this is the stage where you start leveraging people, systems, money, and knowledge to amplify your deal flow. And ultimately, guys, I always talk about the show called The Founder. If you guys have ever watched The Founder on Netflix, uh ultimately, if you guys haven't seen it, the 2 McDonald's brothers that originally created McDonald's, back then they created this perfect process to get you a burger the fastest way possible. And it was like unheard of back then. So they wanted to keep growing, right? They wanted to keep growing. So they got 2 stores because there was 2 guys. And ultimately they couldn't grow past that. It was like the rubber band effect. Every time they tried to grow, they'd snap back. Although their 2 stores were machines, they were pumping out burgers. Well, Ray Kroc came around, saw that perfect process, and he turned it into the worldwide enterprise that it is today. That's the difference between what we call a leader and a manager. A leader leads other leaders, and a manager drives day-to-day results. That's the big difference. And ultimately, guys, this stage, a lot of people like to stay in this stage because they're still get to go on vacation and take a break, right? Like their team will still produce revenue, but they're still going to be managing the day-to-day with amplified deal flow and still gain some of their time back. Now, John C. Maxwell in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership basically says there's the law of the lid. So if you are a level 4 leader, your organization can't get past a level 4. But if you want to be a level 8 organization, you have to become a level 8 leader. And so until you do so, you're always going to be in this stage essentially, unless you grow yourself. So Josh Giardini, meet Josh. He's been working with us for a long time. He's in San Diego, and he came in as a W-2 employee, and we built a small team while he was at his W-2. And then he eventually quit his W-2, and he's crushing, like absolutely crushing it. So many people make these excuses. Oh, it's my market. And no, someone could say that about San Diego, and he's killing. Now Josh is a great manager. He likes sitting in the seat that he's in today. He doesn't necessarily, he's not ready, nor does he want to just fully remove himself quite yet. Now, the leader, guys, this is where you have time and financial freedom. You do what you want when you want. You're working on your business, not in it. Other people are running the show. There's no ceiling on growth. You're not trading your time for money. And your biggest problems are tax problems and how do you build generational wealth? Great problems, right? And Jimmy and Marissa, right? Marissa is the COO for Jimmy Ogle. They're based out of Oklahoma City. When he came in to work with us, he was a one-man show. And he built an entire acquisitions team, TC, COO, sales leader. They're all running the show, and now he's buying multiple different companies. And so not everyone wants to be doing that, but ultimately, guys, that's the 3-legged stool. From a one-man show manager to a leader. And let's say you're a one-man show who wants to stay a one-man show. What holds them back from being consistent? Ultimately, they typically haven't been onboarded themselves as an acquisition manager. So we have a full-blown onboarding for closers in our office. And when a closer starts at our company, we onboard them for 2 weeks. We have quizzes, videos, assessments. We have a full onboarding plan. They, on average, lock up 5 to 7 contracts in the first 30 days on the phone. And then they average 7+ a month after that. And so if you're a one-man show, you are that acquisition manager. And typically why you're not getting that deal flow is because no one properly onboarded you in the industry to be a closer that has a process to master sales. A lot of times then, if they haven't even mastered sales, they're not performing call audits on their calls. And so what does that mean? You should be listening and have a whole reporting process to listening to your call and did it check the box against the process. No different than when Michael Jordan and LeBron James watch film, right? They don't know what KPIs to track typically and then how to leverage them to make better decisions. They may not know how to properly underwrite deals because maybe they're a wholesaler that hasn't flipped yet. And so maybe they're not fully underwriting. And guys, do not spend more marketing money. Do not spend more. Don't go invest more money on marketing if you don't have a solid sales process. Because you're just, unfortunately, a lot of people say, oh, I'm not getting deals because my marketing's not performing. 99% of the time, it's not the marketing, it's the sales side. And if you guys have any questions around that on here in your one-man show, I recommend maybe dropping Dave a question and he'll answer it. But guys, you'll always waste money on sales if you don't learn the sales process first. So they don't outsource income producing tasks. And so there's companies, guys, where you can outsource TC work, you can hire VAs that do administrative work, etc. But ultimately, your time should not be on transaction coordinating. It should be on the phones, locking up deals. They're still running out to houses for inspections. Nobody in my office does inspections. All of our inspections are done fully virtual. They're systemized. We even do scopes of work fully virtual. We have a whole process to it. Your time should be spent making money, and that's it, right? They don't maximize exit strategies. So if you're a one-man show and you truly want to stay a one-man show, you should be an agent, you should flip, and you should wholesale. So that way you can make the most out of your marketing dollars. And then they don't invest in marketing because they fear they won't convert the lead. So I've always been curious why like a lot of women shows will do texting or cold calling because those aren't channels that are going to create consistency or deeper spreads. PPC, PPL, direct mail, all of that are what you're going to do to get consistency and predictability. And guys, today, direct mail, we did over like 120 plus deals last year off direct mail alone. So I decided today I'm going to go deep into direct mail so I can show you exactly how we reverse engineer, how many pieces we're going to send, what we're going to do, all that. So if it's cool with you guys, I'm going to go deep into mail today as well. They think 30 grand is a lot of money. Like in their mindset, 30 grand is a lot of money. For me, 30 grand is just another deal. And so because of that limited mindset, it's holding them back. They don't maximize dispo because they're still selling to the same 5 to 10 buyers, and they ultimately need to learn to raise money. So they're letting hard money lenders, bankable, all that hold them back. When the reality is the skill set of raising money then doesn't make you worry. Like you guys can raise money without bad, like your credit score doesn't matter, all that. The deal matters. So what holds a one-man show getting back to becoming a manager, right? If you're wanting to lead a small team so you can gain your time back, typically what holds them back is they've never led people before. So they need access to the infrastructure, meeting rhythms, one-on-ones, pay structures, how to build the culture, how to do the call audits, etc. They don't get access to proper onboarding, right? So if you weren't onboarded right, then you likely are not going to onboard someone else right. And the second you onboard them wrong, they are just set up for not being successful because the first 2 weeks are critical when someone starts working for you. I'm just curious, guys, can you guys go to the Q&A and do me a favor and just say one-man show or team? Just so I get a feel, how many of you guys are one-man shows or how many of you guys have some type of team, just so I know when I go through today's deck that I know where you guys are at in the business. Can you guys go let me know if you're a one-man show or have a team in the Q&A? And I'll look at it here in a second. And ultimately, a lot of times when you're a one-man show, you get stuck in who do you hire first, second, third? How do we make sure we don't hire your brother, spouse, friend, whatever, because that always ends as a disaster. So we don't want to do that. They fear paying people. So many people are like, I'll put them on commission only because what if they don't perform? Commission only, guys, gives them commission breath. It's typically not going to work. And so instead of thinking this person that I hire is going to bring me 50, 60, 70, $90,000 a month without me being on the phones, right? And that's where real leverage comes. That's where real growth comes, and sustainable growth is by building a small team. It says, what if you don't have money to hire someone? Great question. I would challenge, and Dave can comment to you of where you can get access to the money to hire someone. They don't have proper scorecards, right? So when you hire a team, I see a lot of people that don't hold them accountable to the right KPIs. And so we're just setting our team up for failure. They don't have systems and processes built to properly support a team. Again, a lot of times a one-man show trying to become a manager, they focus on the cost versus the return. They think, oh, if I hire someone, they cost something versus if I hire someone, they actually make me 6 figures a month, right? And then I have more money to keep reinvesting into the company. And then they in fear investing because what if I fail? I challenge everyone on this call, ask yourself, what if I succeed? What happens then, right? Because guys, if I would have been the one that said, what if I fail and didn't take the action, none of you would be sitting on this training today because I'm very confident I can change every one of your lives. And so ultimately, I would have never been able to do that if I would have operated in fear, right? So, what holds a manager back from becoming a leader? And a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm afraid to hire a leader, or I've never led other leaders, etc. But honestly, the biggest thing that holds them back is mindset, the unwillingness to become the person that it takes to deserve the damn result. And it's called learn, do, become. In order to get a result that you want, you first have to get educated. So, first you learn, then you do what you got taught, you become the person who deserves the result, and then you get the result. And too many people think, oh, I'll wait to get the result, then I'll become that person. And that's not really how it works. And guys, I don't know if you guys follow Alex Hormozy, but ultimately, guys, a lot of millionaires are made in real estate. Like you can buy 10 rentals and be called a millionaire, right? But ultimately, the majority of billionaires, though really wealthy people, they are because they built a business. And so this is what transforms. And so many people in the real estate don't take real estate serious. They focus on doing deals instead of building a real estate business. And those are two totally different things. Building a team and running a business is very different than just constructing a real estate deal, right? And so we need to transition from what I call amateur to professional. And let's focus on the first the 5 stages of a business. The first stage is what we call survival. This is where we're very reactive, not proactive. We're like self-employed. We're grinding, lack of systems, no processes, no infrastructure. We have 1 to 2 marketing channels. We're spending every dollar we make back into the business. QuickBooks aren't updated. Finances are a mess. Then we graduate. And guys, I really want you, as I explain this, to self-identify where you're at. And guys, we all start in survival. Okay. So like appreciate where you're at. And then let's focus on what do we got to do to graduate to the next stage, because each stage has very specific steps to get to the next stage. And we just have to trust the process. We don't wake up from stage 1 to stage 5 overnight, right? And so we go from survival and then we graduate into production. This is where we start to see results. We get a stronger self-belief because we're expanding our marketing, gaining some consistency, doing some more deals, tracking some metrics, and we make our first 1 to 2 hires in this stage. From here, we then graduate into what I call momentum. This is where we have 3+ people on the team. We've got acquisitions people. We're measuring results from real data. We're leveraging KPI trackers, scorecards. We're recruiting people. We have stronger finances and consistent deal flow. To go from momentum to growth, growth is really where everything becomes duplicatable. Your systems and processes are on lockdown. They're duplicatable. You have strong finances. You've diversified your marketing. And one of the big things in the growth side is you've got a sales leader. So that way you have someone else leading the day to day so that you can work on the business. Then you graduate in what I call pinnacle. And pinnacle, guys, is where you're really self-managed. Like your team is running the show every day. Your systems and processes are on lockdown. This is where you truly scale. So many people in the industry join these guru programs and then they say, I want to scale, but they're a 1 or 2 man show. Like, guys, we have to build the company first, stabilize it, do all the business oriented things before we just scale. And so because people don't teach people how to build a business the right way, they go to scale and then they come crashing down and press reset because they didn't put in the level of infrastructure that it takes to truly amplify your deal flow and remove you from it. And if you don't put in the infrastructure from the first place, it'll come crashing down and you'll do what I call reset. Oh, I don't know what I just did. All right, guys. I actually threw this in here if you guys want. I just launched a ebook and I wrote this book on 26 of the biggest mistakes I made when scaling my real estate business. So I tell you specific stories around wrong hires I made, marketing channel mistakes I made, exit strategy mistakes, rehab mistakes, all that. So each chapter is a lesson and a story, and then what did I exactly do to overcome that? And so many people in the industry have been asking me about for this. So finally, I just launched this. I would love if you guys want to take it, use it, read it. Hopefully, it adds tons of value for you. because the last thing I want you guys to do is go hire someone or go add an exit strategy and do it wrong from the first place, because that doing it wrong and trying to figure out on your own can cost you a lot of money. I don't know if you guys have ever like lost money on a rehab or hired the wrong person before, had a deal fall through, whatever. Those are all because you might be trying to figure it out on your own. So hopefully this ebook adds tons of value to you guys. Again, it's literally the most costly mistakes I've ever made and exactly what I did to overcome them so that you don't make the same mistakes. So I'll leave this up for 1 second just so you guys can take a thing of it, grab it. It's free. I just launched it, so I'm pretty excited about it. Love feedback on it if you get time. If you ever want to give me feedback on it, at Tiffany High Official is my Instagram. Feel free to DM me. I'll answer all your questions around it. But ultimately, guys, think about this. Imagine driving to a destination you've never been to before. You plug it into your GPS, and at first it feels like you're making progress, right? Clear roads, smooth turns, and then you hit a detour or you make a wrong turn, and you're going nowhere, right? So without the GPS to rein you back in to where you should be going, you just get completely lost, right? Imagine not having that GPS. A GPS recalibrates you to get back on track, and eventually you'll arrive exactly where you need to be. And so ultimately, guys, the same thing applies to your business. The process is your GPS. It will have detours, challenges, and times that you question if you're even on the right path. But if you stick with it, you make adjustments that the GPS recommends, trust the system, then you'll reach your destination. But it's when you take the wrong turn and try to figure out on your own that you could wind up in la la land, right? All right, so let's jump into what I call the 3 pillars. One is strategy. So we're going to talk about diversifying marketing. And since we don't have all day, we're going to go deep dive into direct mail. Then we're going to talk about leveraging KPIs. I'm going to show you the exact scorecard that we have and how we leverage it. And then we're going to talk about the sales process. So let's dive in. And again, guys, I know this was planned for an hour. It's going to take probably up to 90 minutes total. So probably like 7:30 Eastern, just a heads up. So pillar 1 is strategy. How do we diversify our marketing? And let's go deep dive into direct mail. But ultimately, guys, this is the 3 prongs. You have inbound marketing, outbound marketing, and free. So outbound is cold calling. Inbound is like your TV, direct mail, PPC, PPL, radio, all that. And then free is like MLS, building relationships, door knocking, fire damage, everything like that. So what do amateurs do? Amateurs typically say, oh, I learned that cold calling is a thing, or direct mail. They look at their bank account and they say, oh, I have $5 grand. I'm going to roll it up into a ball, throw it at this marketing channel, and then I'm just going to pray it performs, because they don't reverse engineer it. Now, professionals, they make data-driven decisions. So they have calculators that say, hey, if I want to make 100 grand a month and my profit per deal is 20,000 and my offers are this or that, it'll spit out and say, this is exactly what to go spend on mail, spend on PPC, etc. And they leverage KPIs. The amateur focuses on the cost of something. The professional says, what will my return be, regardless of the costs, right? Because if something's going to give you a 4 or 5x ROI, but I don't care if it costs you 330,000, 300,000, but if I'm going to make a 4 or 5x ROI, why wouldn't I spend the money, right? A lot of amateurs don't track any marketing or sales KPIs. And then they just are always in a rush. They don't fill out scorecards. And then even if they do, they're not leveraging it to make decisions. Now, professionals, they have a clear line of sight of what KPIs are doing, what conversions, and then they take those KPIs and optimize it, right? And so the amateur doesn't give a marketing channel time to perform. So they like start it. If they don't get the results, they freak out. They don't have instant gratification. They cut it off. The professional understands the cash conversion cycle by marketing channel. Amateur uses their cash, so they're limited. The professionals leverage other people's money. They raise money for deals. They leverage other companies to use 0% interest credit cards, etc. They leverage. The amateur has unpredictable. They're a deal chaser. They're always chasing the next deal. The professional builds a business based on repeatable systems. They leverage people, time, resources, softwares, etc. to build a business, right? And so ultimately, guys, now let's jump into what we call cash conversion cycle. So In your inbound channels, they're around 1 to 3 months. Your free channels are unpredictable, and your cold channels are 7 to 9 months. So what is a cash conversion cycle? It's the measure of time from when you invest money today to when you receive money at closing. So let's just use this example of direct mail. If I have 10,000 mailers and they cost 40 cents, so I'm going to spend 40 or $4,000. I go to my website, I drop the $4,000 on my credit card. I then takes like a week or so to approve for call it a postcard. It goes out, say the next couple weeks. But then if I'm sending 10,000 mailers, I personally divide that into 4 weeks and I hit them evenly throughout the next 4 weeks so that I'm not getting them all at once. So it's 45 days later before all of them actually hit someone's doorstep. Then it takes on average 20 to 30 days for it to sit in their mailbox or on their counter before they even call me. And then it takes 30 days to wholesale it and 90 days to rehab it. So we're looking at anywhere from a 3 to 5 month cash conversion cycle, depending on if you're wholesaling or flipping it. And what happens is amateur investors, they typically will spend the money, drop the first round, and freak the hell out, cut the marketing channel off, and don't even allow it time to perform, right? And so how do we avoid this? We have what we call a marketing ROI calculator. What does this do? It allows us to reverse engineer a marketing channel before launching it. So that way we know what we're spending, why we should spend it, and then when is the time period in which we should expect an ROI. So it'll help you avoid wasted money on ineffective channels. You set realistic expectations over what is my estimated return on investment. It eliminates guesswork, right? And it'll help you stay ahead of your competition. It measures success from day one, and it helps you achieve predictable growth. And I'm going to show you how to get this calculator at the end of today, but I just want to walk you through. I'm not going to go through it all right now because I don't have time. But this tab right here is for PPC and pay per lead. So let's just say my goal is 100,000. My profit per deal is 20,000. That means I need 5 deals to close. Let's say my success rate is 70%. Now, if you guys aren't tracking the success rate, there's absolutely zero way that you're actually reverse engineering your marketing or setting any type of clear expectation on your money. That means if I lock up 10 deals and 7 close because 3 will naturally fall out due to title, whatever, then I have 70% success rate. If you're below 70%, then we have a problem somewhere in the business and we got to identify what that is. So really, I actually have to lock up 7 contracts because 2 will fall out naturally due to title or whatever. And then let's just say it takes 20 leads to get a deal. So I need 140 leads this month. And my cost per lead is here. And here's my ROI. It'd be a 4x ROI with these numbers. I would estimate spending 24,000 and my cost per deal would be 4,900. Now let's just say, hey, I want to sustain a 4x ROI. And I ultimately, let's just say I master sales. Well, now you might actually land one of 12 leads to get a deal. So now you might be able to spend 250, more than that, 260. You guys get the point. Now I can outbeat my competition, spend more on a lead because I can convert at a higher rate. Does that make sense, guys? Because I mastered sales, the industry standard is they're landing one of every 20 leads. I'm going to land one of every 12. Then I can spend more on a lead and steal leads on PPC, PPL, all that over my competition to hit my goal, right? And I have that for direct mail, cold calling, etc. So now, why does a professional investor focus on inbound marketing, right? So many people are like scared to do inbound marketing for some reason. When outbound, it's a much more riskier. SMS is absolutely illegal. So if you take a list, you skip trace it, you text it, it's not a matter of if you get sued, it is a matter of when you get sued. My friend in the industry literally just had to write $1 million check for a SMS lawsuit. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So inbound has a lot less risk with compliance and regulations. It's way more consistent, higher quality leads. They're more motivated. They call you, right? They're raising their hand. So they're coming to you. There's a much shorter cash conversion cycle, which means that it will have faster profits. Now, when you're doing outbound, it's inconsistent leads. They're not as motivated to sell. You're chasing deals. You have a much longer cash conversion cycle, which means you have delayed profits. So I've never really understood why people focus on texting and all that. And I think it's because someone has brainwashed the industry that we think it's cheaper, but it's not. And so the main reasons I'm seeing people not do inbound, and you guys, if you guys don't mind, go to the Q&A and just let me know if these resonate. People are like, okay, I fear the cost. So they overlook the return on investment because like they're like, well, what if it fails? Maybe they don't know the process. So maybe you just don't know how to properly launch a direct mail campaign. And so you're nervous because you don't know the full process. Or maybe your fear is, I'm going to convert the lead, but what if I don't convert it? And that's a lack of confidence in your sales process. And so if we could conquer how to reverse engineer so you're not worried about the cost, teach you the process, and master the sales process with you, then you will become way more predictable as you start to invest in inbound marketing. So our top four performing channels in 2024, we did over 130 direct mail contracts. We did over 39 just from TV. We did over 38 pay-per lead contracts and over 31 free marketing channels. Let's see here. All right, so let's do a deep dive into direct mail if that's cool with you guys, because I don't have time to go over every single channel. So what I want to do is literally walk you through how to reverse engineer it so you see how we do that for one of our channels. So what you're going to do is you're going to need to know these numbers. What is your monthly revenue goal? What is your exact profit per deal on average? What's your cost of your mail piece? And what's your success rate, right? So ultimately, here is how the formula goes, but I'm going to walk you through a live example. Now, industry standard conversions are 1 of 42 call-ins is a deal. Now, if you're really good at sales, it's actually a lot less than that, but the average investor, 1 of 42 call-ins for mail is a deal, and that includes no's. Industry standard response rate is 0.5%, and then whatever the cost is for your mail. So let's just say that you have a goal of making $40,000 a month, and your mail piece is 50 cents. Let me give you 3 hypothetical examples of 3 different types of investors and what they look like and how it impacts the numbers, okay? Now, I want to be clear, these are not my results. They're no one's results. It's a clear just example of different types of investors. So the first type of investor is going to be someone who wholesales but has no proven sales system. They just kind of wing their sales process. They might have gotten a script from someone, but they've never actually mastered it. The second investor is a wholesaler, but has a proven sales process. And then number 3 is they wholesale, rehab, and have a proven sales process. So let's dive into example investor number 1. Their goal is 40,000. Their average profit per deal is 20,000. 1 of 42 call-ins is a deal, 0.5% success or 0.5% response rate on the mail. Their success rate, 7 out of 10 deals will close, and 50 cents for their postcard. Here's the math. We take 40,000 as our goal, divided by $20,000 as our average profit per deal, and we need 2 contracts to close. 2 contracts divided by your success rate, because 7 out of 10 will close, means you actually have to lock up 3 contracts because 1 will fall out. 3 contracts times 42 call-ins, because that's how many you should expect, is 126 call-ins is what you have to produce. 126 divided by your response rate means I have to mail 25,200 mail pieces to try to get this result. 25,200 times 50 cents is 12,600 would be my total spend. 12,600 divided by 2 closed deals, because 1 will fall out, means that I will spend $6,300 on average per contract. $20,000 average profit per deal divided by 6,300 is a 3x ROI. Can you guys all say yes in the chat if that makes sense, everyone? Just say yes so I get a feel if you have questions or anything like that. I just want to make sure you guys see that. This is investor number 1. Now, let's look at investor number 2. This person wholesales and has a proven sales process. Now, the major difference in theirs is instead of 1 of 42 call-ins as a deal, it's 1 of 22, because they have a mastered sales process, so they convert at a higher rate. That is the only thing that is different. So here's how the numbers get domino affected. So instead of 42, it's 22. So they need 66 call-ins, not 126. which means they only have to send 13,000 mailers instead of 26. Instead of $6,600 spend, they spend 6,600, not 12,000. They have a 3,300 cost per deal, not a 6,000. They have a 6x ROI, not a 3x. Do you see how just mastering the sales process domino affects your marketing channel? So what happens is so many people blame marketing for their problems, and it's not marketing. It's typically the sales side. So if you can master the conversion, you actually get to spend less on marketing, produce less leads, and convert at the same rate, right? And so let's look at number 3. This person wholesales and rehabs and has a proven sales process. Now, the difference is not only are they one of 22 call-ins, but their average profit per deal went from 20,000 to 29,000 because they can maximize the profit per deal on the lead. They don't just have one exit strategy. So if rehabbing makes sense, they do that. If wholesaling makes sense, they do that. Here's the domino effect. Now, they have all these same numbers as the last investor right here. The big difference, guys, is now their average profit per deal is up. So instead of a 6x ROI like the last investor, they're an 8x ROI. So do you guys see now, as you move up the 5 stages, you obviously get in the game, you have one exit strategy, we master the sales process, then we add a second exit strategy, and boom, we actually get to spend less money on marketing and make more, okay? So hopefully you guys can see here that that's how we reverse engineer every one of our marketing channels. Now, what I just did with you guys manually, this tab does for you in a calculator, so you don't have to even spend the time doing that. But it's really important that you guys understand the math behind it so you can see what it's doing. Do we all feel, I don't know if you guys can let me know in this chat thing or whatever it is, do we all feel if we made decisions like that for all of our marketing channels that we would feel more confident in investing more into the business, right? Because making decisions on data, mastering sales, adding an exit strategy would make us more confident to continue to invest in our business, right? So who experiences the better year? Clearly investor number 3, okay? Let's move on to pillar number 2 now. So let's talk about how do we leverage marketing KPIs to pinpoint the problems, close the gaps. So since we're talking about direct mail, I'm going to go over a recent example that actually just happened with us in direct mail, if that's cool. So the first step is there's a 6-step process. So when a KPI is off, what do we do, right? First, we identify the red flag. What is the KPI that is off? It could be leads per contract increase, response rate decreases, cost per contract goes up. All those things are marketing KPIs. Once we identify that, we do a campaign audit. So we analyze the campaign's performance by channel. So we focus on metrics like response rate, list performance, conversion rates, and we pinpoint where is the issue actually arising. Is it the data's bad, the mailer's bad, the messaging's bad? Then we go in and we do what we call lead quality review. So we say, okay, let's go pull some calls and review. Does the person who's calling in from the mail actually want to sell or not? Because if they're saying they don't want to sell for the most part and remove me from the list, the data set then is probably poor. But if they're calling saying, yes, I want to sell, then something else is wrong. And that's likely a sales process then. Then we diagnose the problem. We then create an action plan and execute the plan. And then we optimize it and continue to optimize our KPIs, right? So we have a framework to, if a KPI is off, what do we do next? So we want to say if it's direct mail, we're going to ask ourselves, is the list performance performing, right? Is the data accurate and high quality? Because poor data leads to wasted money and low response rates. Like, for example, I would never just go pull an absentee list and mail it. Like, that's a waste of money, right? Campaign performance. Are we optimizing how many rounds we hit before the results drop off? So for us, I believe we send the list 4 rounds before we see significant drop off. Guys, if we're not tracking that, then we're just wasting money and time, right? We then want to say the location. Are there certain zip codes or areas outperforming others? So our direct mail tracker tracks all of this. It identifies, okay, are there zip codes that are literally just never getting deals? Then why are we mailing it, right? Buy box performance. Are there properties that are certain square footage, bed, bath, year built, correlating to better deals? So let's just say that 80 to 90% of our deals are 1950 and newer homes. Well, then maybe we can stop mailing 19 and 50 older homes. But if you're not tracking it, how would you know, right? Response rate. Is the response rate above or below industry standard? If it's low, then it could be the messaging, the timing, the targeting, etc. If it's, what about exit strategies? Are we maximizing multiple exit strategies, or are we leaving money on the table with people who do want to sell, but we can't do anything about it because maybe you're not rehabbing? So it doesn't have meat on the bone for the wholesale, right? And then close rate performance. Are the leads to contract improving over time? So ultimately, guys, let's go over one of our recent case studies. So we did, this is literally our direct mail tracker. This is one example. So we saw right here that this campaign, we hit this list 3 times. It went from a 0.5% response rate to 0.25 to a 0.14. And we're like, okay, we have a problem. Our response rate's way below industry standard. What is happening? So we went to do an audit on the campaign. We evaluated the mail piece. We figured out, is it the list exhausted? Like, how many times did we hit the mail rounds, etc.? Are the leads quality? For example, are they calling in saying they want to sell? Is there a sales problem? Maybe we see the leads are quality, but we aren't locking them in, so there's a sales problem. In this certain situation, we did all that, and we discovered that we had hit that list actually way too many rounds. So we discovered that we were exhausting the list, which was hurting our response rate. So then we did lead quality review. We realized that the numbers were standard. The people calling in still, like, even though it was 0.14, they wanted to sell. So the list isn't the problem, and we were just overhitting the list, right? So we diagnosed the problem. We came to the conclusion that the list was exhausted. We didn't have fresh data. It was being hit with way too many rounds, so we needed to optimize the rounds. So we created a new marketing plan. We created a strategy where we would do the campaign 1 time a month for 3 months. We give it a 3-month break, and then we hit it again 1 time for 3 months for this specific list that we were doing. And the result after we executed this was that our response rate went back to 0.3%. This was a big win for us. And it's not 0.5 because that's industry standard, because we've already hit the list a lot, guys. So naturally our response rate will be lower because we don't get any more of the do not calls, right? So we executed the plan, we verify results, and we make adjustments. Now, Garrett, he's in our program. He just posted this recently, and ultimately he had a panic attack one night. He called his coach, Aaron. He's like, something's happening. My deals are falling through, whatever. Got on a call with him and found out that he really wasn't tracking the KPIs he was supposed to. So he reverse engineered everything like we just showed you guys, and he came up with a weekly SOP for monitoring that data because he was making excuses of why he didn't have time to track the data. And so now he is finally back on track, and he's more confident on continuing to invest because the data is telling him what to do, right? Without the data, we don't know what to do. And that's when we make poor decisions, when we don't have the data and we don't know how to leverage it to make decisions. So let's talk about pillar number 3. And guys, I'm really sorry today. I normally interact with you guys in a chat box. We don't have a chat today. I would love to be communicating back and forth. So I'm sorry if I don't feel like I'm interacting. But I'm gonna do my best. So pillar number 3, how to maximize your return through a time-tested step-by-step sales process. So let's talk about this like a cake. Think about baking a cake. Without a recipe, you might occasionally get it right? But more often than not, it's inconsistent or just a complete failure. Why? Because you're relying on guessing what the recipe is without the recipe. So there's no proven process. And sales is no different. It's not an art. It is a science. A check-the-box sales process ensures every step is executed consistently, leading to the predictable and scalable success. But so when your team follows a process, you can identify and fix the gaps. So if deals are falling through, you know exactly where to look and what to adjust. So it's just like tweaking a recipe of a cake so that it doesn't rise, right? So ultimately, like on the left is someone who just wung it. They were like, oh, I'll throw in some sugar here and do that. And then that's what it looked like. The person on the right took the box and followed the recipe, and they get a cake. Like I always say, guys, a 14-year-old who's never baked a cake can take the box, read the recipe, and probably get the cake right. But if you didn't give them a recipe, it's going to look like the left. It's no different. You could hire Schmojo Joe over here on the streets, bring him in, turn him into a closer if you hand him the right recipe, right? And so let's talk about that recipe. our sales scripts. First, we have our follow-up specialist script who live transfers to our closer. Our closer then goes through a process call script. We then have an offer call script, a purchase agreement script, and then if it's needed, we have a renegotiation script. So our follow-up specialist script has a process. It has an intro, urgency, we find out motivation, price, and sometimes condition, and then we live transfer it to a closer. The process call script, this is where we're really qualifying them. We do an intro, we set expectations, we discover motivation, property condition, we objection block, and then we reset expectations for the offer. Then we do an offer call. We set expectations again. We say what it looks like to work with us. We present the offer. We set expectations. Okay. Then on the purchase agreement call, where we actually go through the purchase agreement on DocuSign, we go through the intro, we send the purchase agreement, we set expectations, we review the 6 most important pieces of the contract, we ask for the close, handle any objections, right? Those are all the check the box process. If you don't have a process, there's nothing to do sales call audits and check and improve, right? No different than if Michael Jordan watches film, they're doing X's, O's, reining him back into the process and saying, here's your playbook, go fix this by the next game, right? I don't bake cakes, guys. I can't even remember last time I put something in the oven myself. But if you give me a recipe, I'm pretty confident I can follow the recipe. So a recipe is what creates the predictability and the outcome of that cake. So I cannot stress the importance of having a check the box time-tested sales process. So how do we leverage acquisition KPIs to pinpoint any gaps, right? And so it looks like this. So imagine you have a pipe that's like for water, right? Water pipes below your faucets. You take a gallon of water, you pour it down the pipe. What should you get at the bucket at the end? A gallon of water. But if there is a leak anywhere in the pipe, you'll know because it'll come spraying out. So it's no different with KPIs. If we take a bucket of leads, we drop it down the pipe, the first thing we do is we dial it. Then we either connect with it or we don't. Then they either want to sell or they don't. Then we qualify them, which is a process call. Then we make an offer. Then we get a deal. Then we make money. So it's left to right tracking. And in between each one of these things is a KPI. So for example, 1 of every 2 offers in my company is the standard. That's what it takes to get a deal. So if one person's offers per deal goes to 6 offers per deal, then we've identified that as a red flag. That means that I got to go find out what is happening in the offer. Now, most investors, amateurs, will say, oh, it's the marketing. The marketing sucks. This person sucks, blah, 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 blah. When all it is we got to rein in the offer call. If it was something over here, we'd rein that in. We know exactly what's wrong when we track the data. So here's an example of what our scorecard looks like. Just to give you an idea, at the top, acquisition member, we track left to right, just like you saw in the pipe, right? So let's look at a case study. So what do we do if a KPI is off? 1, we identify the red flag. So if it's 1 of 6 offers, then that's a red flag. And if you notice, see how it's red? Up at the top are the benchmarks for each column. So if it's red, identified immediately, the sales manager or you should say, this is off the benchmark. I need to go figure out what's happening, right? Then we do a CRM audit. We say, okay, if it was in the offers, we're going to go pull the offer calls during this time period, do sales call audits on them and figure out what happened during them. Then we do the call review. We diagnose what the heck happened in these calls. We create a training program to figure out how not to do it moving forward. And then we execute it, right? So let's go over an example of one of my closers. They actually did go to 1 of 6 offers to get a deal for over 2 weeks, which means based on our standards, we lost out on 4 minimum deals from this because we're always 1 of 2 offers. So guys, our average profit per deal floats between 17 and 20 grand at all times. So 4 deals in 2 weeks, that's worth a lot of freaking money to me, right? So imagine if I wasn't tracking these KPIs, how much longer that would have prolonged of just missed money. I don't need to spend more money on marketing. I need to fix what the hell's happening today, right? So Georgette was 1 of 6 offers. So what do we do? During that 2 weeks, we went to the CRM, we pulled all of her offer calls that didn't get accepted and we audited them. We found out that there was one specific objection that she wasn't handling right. So we decided, since it was only her and not the team, we created a training plan for her, and we decided to execute it over the course of the next 2 weeks. And then we also audited an additional multiple, every offer that she did for the next 2 weeks, we listened and audited for her. Because guys, it's a leadership thing too. We've got to make sure we set them up for success. So then next thing you know, what's the result? We got her back down to one of every 2 offers. Now, can you imagine if I wasn't tracking this and knew how to leverage the KPIs? I would have blamed marketing. I would have blamed the leads. I would have never actually fixed the actual problem. Sorry, I need to take a drink of water. Now, I don't know if you guys follow Ashley Malona. She's been in my program for a long time. She's actually got started in the business at the same time as me. And she came in and she had been in real estate for 4 years, had a team, she's had good months, made money, but she was very inconsistent. And she basically made a post saying that for 14 weeks straight, she had finally consistent closings because she wasn't tracking data back then. Yes, they could close a deal, right? They could hire someone, they could get some deals closed, but ultimately, guys, they never had consistency until they started leveraging KPIs. And guys, it all starts with setting the goal and tracking metrics against the goal. So, guys, hopefully this one's obvious, but which ladder works better? One on the right where it's like I have to like jump to get to the next one, or the left where I have attainable steps, right? So do we want detailed daily, weekly, and monthly targets? Or do we want annual targets with no rhyme or reason to how they get set, right? So the guy on the left has very detailed, what do I have to do every week, every month, and every quarter to hit the goal? So we have what we call our quarterly KPI tracker. And so we essentially say, hey, what do you want to hit this quarter in revenue? What's your success rate? What's your profit per deal, your offers per contract, and your leads per contract? It will literally spit out exactly what to do quarterly, monthly, and weekly. So there's no guessing. So now if me and Josh, let's just say me and Josh were a 2-man show, spouse working together, and he's in acquisitions and I'm recharged for everything else. He then on this would say, now, and guys, if you're working with a spouse or partner and you're not holding each other accountable to KPIs, you're just like setting yourself up for a complete disaster. So you've got to make sure that you're holding each other accountable to KPIs. So he would be accountable to 2 contracts a week and 6 offers, and I would be accountable to producing 36 leads. So when we come to our weekly meeting, I'm responsible for doing that, and he's responsible for bringing me that. And if one of us isn't hitting the metric, we then have to hold each other accountable to it. So how do we leverage a team, right, to gain our time back and amplify our deal flow? The amateur guys, right, is the one riding the roller coaster. They're constantly deal chasing. So it's common for a business owner to feel like they're constantly chasing success. They're the deal chaser and they never capture it. Professionals, right, they leverage systems, processes, people in order to then get consistency and predictability. And the fastest route to success is by building a strong foundation, diversifying your marketing, getting a check the box sales process, and optimizing your KPIs so that you can set people up for success. So we go back to this 3-legged stool, right? In order to go from a 1-man show to a manager, we've got to put in that level of infrastructure. We've got to master sales, onboard ourselves, track KPIs, make data-driven decisions, or we'll set it up for failure. So guys, I want to talk about, a lot of people say, how do you help investors grow their business? So we are a big believer. I am not someone that says you should go scale, because you can't scale anything without a solid foundation. And I don't care if you're on here doing 1 deal a month or 30 deals a month, the foundation doesn't change, right? How I dispo a deal, for example, or how I lock up a deal with an acquisitions process is the same. No matter if I'm doing 1 deal a month or 20 deals a month, you just get to define how big you want to get, right? And so we have what we call the REI Business Accelerator. So what's inside of it? It's the first 4 Wednesdays of the month. Actually, this month starts tomorrow because last week was a holiday. So tomorrow is week 1, and it's 4 weeks live with me virtually, Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. They're all recorded. All the calculators and all that stuff that you see is included in it. And ultimately, week 1, we go over all of our marketing. So we walk you through the 10-step process to launching a marketing channel. So what you guys saw me do in direct mail, I'm going to walk you through all of my marketing channels. I'm going to walk you through how I launch all of my inbound strategy from direct mail, pay-per lead, PPL, TV, Facebook, and PPC. I'm going to go over the exact data we pull, guys, because if you're on here and you're still pulling data like absentee owner and high equity and all that, guys, we've got to leverage niche data. And then what do we do with the data, right? That's important. Learn how to reverse engineer your marketing channels so you know what to spend, where to spend it, and what you should expect in return. Instead of throwing money up in a ball, throwing it at a wall and praying that it sticks, right? We're going to analyze where you should be in marketing based on what stage of the business you're in. And then we're going to talk about the KPIs you should be tracking. So week 1 is all about marketing. And guys, I'm also going to walk through how do you leverage other people's money to expand your marketing, because so many people let finances hold them back, and we can't keep doing that. If we're serious about building a business, we got to leverage other people's money. Then we also are going to give you lots of tools, guys. The marketing ROI calculator you just saw, our KPI goal setting calculator, all of our SOPs and processes for direct mail, how do we get access to funding, all of our credibility packets, etc. Then we go into week 2. Week 2, we talk about KPIs and systems. So we talk about how our phone systems work, how the lead flow follow-up system works, how to maximize every lead, etc. And really, as you go to hire somebody, I cannot stress the importance of maximizing a phone system. So we're going to go over that deeply. So you'll get all the SOPs for that, all of our nurture sequences, etc. Week 3, Josh is then going to get on and he's going to talk about he's going to train you on all of our scripts, from the follow-up specialist script, the acquisition scripts, the renegotiation, our ghost text that we use to bring sellers back to life. Guys, how important, guys, if you guys could learn how to bring one deal back to life that a seller ghosted to you, what's that worth, right? Like, for me, it's worth 17 to 20 grand. Everyone's average profit per deal is different. And guys, if you would have learned to reverse engineer your marketing and execute a check the box sales process, I would ask yourself, what would that do for you today, right? So we're going to walk you through that step by step, train you on the whole script process, etc. You're going to get all of our scripts. You're going to get immediate access to that when you join. And then we're going to go have dispositions in week 4. So we're going to go through all of our processes of how we build our buyers list, our VIP buyers, what metrics we track, how our system works in managing it. We have a whole what we call 48-hour rule of how we get people to drive multiple offers up. We're going to go over all of our TC costs, some certain additional terms and conditions we put in our contracts and our assignment and purchase agreement. That'll definitely help you guys in worst case scenarios. And then we're going to also talk you through how we decide if we're going to flip or wholesale a deal. So I'll walk you through our deal analyzer. So all of those are also included, our deal analyzer, all of our example deal marketing, our checklist, etc. And then you'll get access to what tools I use, data, etc. And guys, so what is everyone saying about this, right? Guys, for less than the cost of a fancy dinner tonight, you guys are going to get access to the entire foundation of our company and spend 4 weeks live with me for next to nothing. But ultimately, James, his biggest takeaway was just systems and processes. He was a one-man show, just like freelancing everything, and he was a deal chaser. And so he highly recommends it for the systems and processes. Kevin was big on, again, systems and processes and making sure that he could have a step-by-step process. So when he built a team, that he had that in place so that he wasn't just saying, shadow me, right? Sean, he's actually in Houston. He does tons of deal flow. He's actually been in real estate way longer than me. But he basically talked about how it cut 1 to 2 years off of his learning curve. John Blackburn has built a huge rental portfolio, and he wanted to basically find more rentals. That was his goal. And all the systems and processes, he said he would have paid 5 times what he did based on the value and the content. Connor, completing this program was like putting fuel on my business. I stopped putting money into marketing and just praying that it works, right? So he finally put in systems and processes. So again, guys, this is 4 weeks with us. You get immediate access to all the scripts. our inspection processes, nurture sequences, calculators, deal analyzers. And guys, if you don't get at least an extra deal a month or $25,000 worth of value like masterminds charge in this, I will give your money back, no questions asked. So it's absolutely no risk. And guys, I'm going to give this to you guys for $197. So it actually, week 1 of this month starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we're going to launch going into talking about week 1 marketing. When you guys join, you guys will gain access to all of those tools, etc. And so Sean, do we have sorry, my thing just froze. Sorry about that. Anyways, guys, it's called the 4-week REI Business Accelerator. It is fully virtual. They're all recorded. You get immediate access to all the tools, the calculators, etc. I'm going to give you a QR code, and ultimately this is what's going to happen. You're going to open it. It's going to have a page that looks just like this. You'll put in your information. It'll take you to this page in which you can then sign up. Hey, Sean, is there a QR code that maybe I'm missing because something changed here? It looks like maybe. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. I thought we were gonna
Can
have
you see my screen there? I should be sharing the QR code right there. Does that show up?
your screen.
Yeah.
Here, I'll let you share your screen.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Yep, there's the
There we
QR
go.
code. Sorry about that. I thought we were gonna have a chat box. So, guys, it's $197, less than a fancy dinner. I would love to see you guys live tomorrow at 2 o'clock. If you can't make it live, all of them are recorded in the drive. You can jump in and watch last month's recording right away if you want to. And what I would like to do is take a bunch of live Q&A. So if you guys want to ask questions, if Dave hasn't answered some of them, I'm happy to stay on and answer as many. And then Sean, do you have any that you noticed that you'd like me to talk a little bit more about?
I mean, Dave did a remarkable job. Nancy may have a couple that she found in there. And they can also throw your questions in the chat or the chat. We say chat out of behavior, right? Throw it in the Q&A box too, and we'll be happy to let Tiffany answer all of your questions that you guys have. Anonymous attendee asked, if you're a real estate broker, what do you see as the benefit for learning this from you for the next month if you're a real estate broker?
Yep. So a lot of my leads, we have gotten really good. So we have agents sitting in-house as well. And so we have a live transfer process. So if the follow-up specialist gets on, the person's really more of a retail lead, not an investor lead, we live transfer that then to the agent. And we have a whole process to that. So ultimately, you're going to create a marketing machine through this training. We have tons of realtors and brokers that come through to then launch their investor side. So highly recommend it if you're a broker. I think you'll see a whole line of sight to how we create the marketing aspect, and then really what should, if I were a broker, I would separate out my acquisitions people from being the realtors. Like my acquisitions off market people are not agents, and I don't want them to be agents. But I don't know who asked that. I'm happy to have that conversation with you live on the training as well tomorrow.
Tiff, if you could talk to the benefit for one-man shows and what that process looks like, what they should do first and second, what they should have in place before they just start hiring people. Talk them through that really quick.
Yeah, so guys, if you're a one-man show on here, I do not hire anyone until you fix the foundation. So I didn't really talk about this in the photo. I probably should have. We have what we call the foundation. So the 4-week live virtual with us is all about systems, processes, scripts, getting all of that in line before you go hire someone. At our 2-day workshop, which is actually one of them is this week, it starts tomorrow. We have what we call shadow day. You come in, you shadow our team, you see it live, and then we go over exactly how we recruit, we onboard, we train, and we manage people. And I cannot stress this. Do not hire someone until 1, we clean up the foundation, 2, you get out to the workshop, because so many people come through. They've hired someone that cost them money, anxiety, energy, stress. You know, they ruined deals, lost opportunity, weren't the right fit. They didn't onboard them right. And ultimately, like, unless you really have access to proper onboarding and training for them, you're going to lead to a disaster. So don't hire anyone until getting the foundation right first. Someone asked me, why don't you want them to be agents? We have tested that, and agents are already groomed with a totally different philosophy to how to approach real estate. And we've noticed that and we can go down a rabbit hole in this, so I don't have time for it. But ultimately, personally, I shouldn't say never. It takes a very specific person, but we try to separate out agents from off-market acquisitions. Like, I would never want my acquisitions person to be the person also out listing houses, because then they're completely distracted. And then an agent will also won't really understand how to negotiate the price down when they're really used to like getting retail price, right? And once you see the sales process, it's conflicting with an agent's mindset around it, unless that person is truly just focused on off-market deals.
Couple of quick things about the 4-week training. So it's $197. You do a money back guarantee or no risk, whatever we want to call it, for that training, and they get access to the recordings, tools, and education. And you're also giving them 60 total days.
Yep. So ultimately, guys, it's $197. It's fully virtual. You get access to all the tools, calculators, and you get access to it for 60 days. So you actually get to join me for 2 months live. We do that because people can join at any time, and we want to make sure that you guys have plenty of time, because as you guys are learning, you might have different questions. So I want to make sure you have plenty of access to jump on and ask us questions live. So
Perfect.
guys,
So
I
to scan
spend
that
like,
QR code.
yep. So if you guys if you guys get out your cameras, do the QR code, it'll pop up. And what were you asking me, Sean?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on that. You said 60 days. I got direct chatted that. So just wanted to make
Yep.
sure I was correct on all that.
Yep. 60 days. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything else. But yeah, once you guys join, you guys will get instant access to all the tools, resources, calculators, all of that.
Oh, the recordings, that was a question. If something does come up and they can't make it, they have access to the recordings.
Yep. Yep. You guys will have access to the recordings. And if I were you, I'd jump in and dive in as fast as possible.
Perfect. I reached out to Dave and said, "Hey, is there any questions that that you missed in the chat that we should answer?" And he said, "I think I got them all covered." Oh,
Awesome.
level of support. Dave did mention that it would be beneficial to let everybody know the level of support. That they'll all be given a team member that will follow them through the journey, that they can reach out to, ask questions to, that'll help them in their process. So there's a level of hand-holding inside of the 4-week training as well.
Yep. Yeah, we pair you guys all with a coach as well in this. I get lots of people that say, why do you do all this for less than $200? I'll be direct with you guys. I'm so confident that I can change the trajectory of your business, that I am so committed to getting you deals for damn near free, that I hope that I build enough trust with you that you want to continue working with us. And so we pair a coach with you for a whole month. They literally will be calling you after every call and walking you through how to execute whatever you just learned and whatever questions you have. And these guys sit in my office, they're running the show with me. And so ultimately our goal is to truly help you get the most out of this training.
Perfect. I think we're in a position to wrap up. Nancy, let us know if we missed anything. If you haven't done so yet, just take your phone out, scan that QR code, click the link, and then you can reserve your spot. And Tiffany, can them and their team members join? If they have business partners
Yes.
or partner with their spouse, they can all do it together, correct?
Yep.
And thank you so much, Tiffany and Sean. It was very, very informative. I loved it. Now I just took over. You should see your face up there. Do you?
Yep.
Okay. Well, what we're gonna do is, if you guys would stay on, just in case we have some more questions, I'm gonna go through the end of my portion of the webinar just to talk about the bonuses, because now that you have heard how Tiffany can get you going, you need a marketing source, right? And so, Foreclosures Daily is going to be a good partner with you partnering with Tiffany. So they've got the 6-step mailing campaigns, phone scripts, and email to send to the attorney, postcards and letters. the probate book that I talked about, you'll receive a special link. When you become a Foreclosures Daily client, you're going to get that link to hook you up with those discounted prices. So Tiffany did an awesome job showing us the ROI. What'd you call that, Tiffany? The ROI marketing calculator. I thought that
Yes,
was
the
great. Yeah,
ROI
that was
marketing
great.
calculator.
So I
Yeah.
mean, you're getting all the tools, and you're going to get a reduced rate. Postage keeps going up, but there's ways to, if you have bulk posting and that kind of thing, that's what you're getting the link for. And then with the webinar with the probate leads with Ken, the guy that wrote the book, then you're going to have some access to webinars on the 7 ways to make money with probates with the author who wrote that book. And like I said, everything that's in that book, I've had it since 2018. And some things just never go out of style. Some things are just, you got the systems and processes as Tiffany talked about. So let's talk about how this could be very lucrative for you all, because Foreclosures Daily, they have sales, right? If you didn't, you might have missed their big end of the year sale that they always have for New Year's. But now it's time to kind of take charge and say, okay, well, what kind of leads do I want? And you can see that if you buy one county, you get one county for free. And that includes the probates, the pre-probates, the inheritance, the divorce, the code violations, the evictions. So now look at these prices. So you can spend $600 for 12 weeks. Okay, well, that's not really a good deal. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. And as Tiffany pointed out, you have to put some time behind the mailing. You can't just, send a mailer out and then go, okay, nothing happened. It's a process. You have to let the mailers work, if you will. So if you sign up for 26 weeks, then you're going to spend $9.99 or save $200, which if you did just that, the $200 you're saving could pay for Tiffany's 4-week program that she has. And if you go step it out and have a lot of confidence, then you should go for the 1,750 for 52 weeks. That gives you the best savings, right? And then you can add on accounting at 50% price. Now, if you're in Florida, there's a little bit different deal for you. So you get for 3 months for $479 or $799 for 6 months, which is $159 savings. But again, you get the best bang for your money if you go for a longer period of time. So you get the $12.99 for 1 year, which is a $600 savings. Now you can also do a la carte, such as absentee, free and clear, and tax lates, different lists. And you can do, that costs about $1,000 for 500 of them. But, reach out to your rep at foreclosuresdaily.com, and their contact info is going to be here. If this is your first time watching the webinar, and stay tuned because they have lots and lots of good info, but they will let you know what the best deal is going on right now. And I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight, especially our guest, Tiffany, Josh, Sean, and Dave. Thank you so much for your time tonight. If you all have any questions, you can reach me at nancy@foreclosuresdaily.com. I believe Sean or Tiffany may have dropped their info in the Q&A, so you guys can have that. And you can always reach out to your representative. Now, I want to just wish everyone another happy new year. Stay safe. Tiffany, do you have any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, if you guys are wondering my info, because I don't know how to put it in the chat, you guys can just follow me on Instagram. It's at Tiffany High Official. You guys are welcome to DM me anytime.
Yes, very good. And I'll do a shout out for, I'll follow you, Tiffany, you follow me, Money Makin Mamas. Tune in next month, February 4th. That's going to be a short month, but February 4th. I hope everyone stays safe. Are you guys going to go sledding in Ohio? Don't you have some snow right now?
Oh yeah, we've already been sledding.
All right. Well, we are in Texas here, and we're slated to get some snow on Friday, which we don't have that very often. So we'll see. This is going to be a flutter, right? So, but thanks again, you guys, for your time. It was good hearing how your process works. And everyone just reach out to Tiffany and Josh, and they're going to get you hooked up.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.